You know, this movie is actually a huge testament on if your movie theater can survive whenever you watch these movies. Like when you watch this movie in theaters, which I highly recommend you do, listen to your theater and try and guess who would die, who would screw everyone else over, and which ones would make it out okay. So, A Quiet Place Day 1 has released as I'm filming this, and today I took it upon myself to watch both 1, 2, and 1? Question mark? And I got to say, this is a pretty big trilogy. This is like a Trojan horse, like, underrated trilogy, in my opinion. As I stated, I watched the other films before going into this, and today was the first day I saw part 2. And by the way, if you want to see solo reviews for those films, let me know in the comments below. I'm more than willing. I really liked the first two movies. The first one I thought was a good mix of dread and horror and suspense and fear. The second one had more action, more care, a little bit more development. I think the first film really tackles the family dynamic and the actions of what it's like to be a family in the apocalypse like this. And the second film, I think, really just added on to that. Since the world was already established, we didn't need any more information. We just simply were able to go right in and experience it. So going into this film, I had a little bit of expectations. I was like, hopefully it'll be good. But if it's not, we tried. And I gotta say, like, IMO so far, definite, probably recency bias. This one is my favorite in the trilogy. I want to sit down and watch them all back to back to back again once I'm able to, and I really want to sit down, listen to what other people think, gather my own thoughts, write stuff down, and actually just go through with it. But I really, really liked this movie. I think this film does a lot of things better than the first one. The first one, I think, tackles the unknown aspects as well. And I think the first film tackles a good sense of fear and tension and suspense. This one, I think, only ups the ante, because when you're in the forest and you're a farmer and you're underground half the time and you're a family of 4, it's a lot easier to be quiet. But when you're New York, when you're a city that literally sounds like this, yeah, Lord be with you, you're screwed. Sorry. And I think there's a couple scenes in this movie, of course I will not spoil. I think it'd be really cool to make essays about these movies going forward in the future. There's a difference between my reviews and essays. I really should make playlists for that, but that's besides the point. There's scenes in this movie where you find out how realistic and how, unsure planning can go. There's a scene in particular where something has to get from point A to point B cautiously and quietly, but you're a city. You quickly find out, this isn't gonna work. And in my opinion, as it's a review, as you know, I think I just care for the characters a lot more in this movie. And it's funny because you don't really get to know them, and I really do kind of like that about these movies and how they differ from other horror films. In horror, I think horror is an art. It's a preference, and it's something to learn something from. There's always something to pick apart and analyze. There's always something to expand upon. And these movies do a really good job at, 1, keeping the aliens quiet, and not explaining anything about them. And I don't want to hear, I don't want to know anything about these things. I want little lore drops here and there, but I don't want exposition they were sent from planet Sheen to destroy us. I don't want that. I also don't really want to know too much about the main character. I want to know something about the characters, like in the first movie, the dad. You know what I mean? I want to know more about these characters so I have a better connection with them, but I don't want an entire backstory. I want little tidbits to get to know them. And I think in a world like this, where a character can die at any moment, literally any moment, that is very important. This film This film also feels like a passion project. It feels like an actual art in a way. There's a scene in this movie, no spoilers of course, revolving magic. Take that what you will, but you'll know what I'm talking about when it comes up. And I felt so much fear, so much tension, and so much just anxiety. And I think that's something these films do very well, because you're dead. And this film kept me on the edge of my seat, like, oh, what are they going to do? I have no idea what they're going to do. And they can do this, they can do that, they can do this. I have no idea. Don't watch trailers for this movie, even though I'm showing you trailers for this movie. Oops. But I think, do check it out. This film made it in third place of my top 10 list for the year. And so far, one of the good horror movies I've seen this year. I think this year is a really good year for horror. And I'm very excited to see what comes next. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you would survive in this world. I probably would not. One fart and it's over, dude. Let's be real.